Hello, everybody. Welcome to Michael's Record Collection, episode 23. I'm very happy to have with me today from Jack Russell's Great White, Jack Russell. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it.
So, you have a new release coming out August 13th. It's called Great Zeppelin II, a tribute to Led Zeppelin. Comes out on CD and vinyl in a gatefold. And you've already got the first single out, Whole Lot of Love. And as you might suspect, this is a tribute to Led Zeppelin. It's all Led Zeppelin covers. Can you just maybe walk me through? You did a 1998 Great Zeppelin live album. Why was the time right for a Zeppelin tribute?
We just were just thinking about it, and there was always a lot of songs that I didn't get to do on the last album, as in like Whole Lot of Love, songs of that ilk. And I just felt, we were sitting around not really doing much of anything else. We're working on the new album, but I felt like getting in the studio and recording. So I thought, hey, let's do another Great Zeppelin album.
Mm-hmm.
And the band was all for it because they weren't involved in the last one, and nobody in my band was. So they were all excited to do it. So I said, what the hell? I mean, music to me should be fun, not just, okay, well, we have to do this, we have to do that, and this is contractual, and we need to put out so many records per calendar year, or or so many original records, and I just want to have fun, and I want to do things that I want to do musically, and if it's covering somebody else's songs, I really don't care what everybody else thinks. It's like I want to do it and I want to enjoy it, and that's exactly why we did this.
Yeah, that seems like something that a lot of artists do once they're established and they feel like they've reached that point where they can do what they want to do. They want to sing songs that have inspired them. You're clearly very um, inspired by Led Zeppelin, but I want you to go back in your mind and tell me what was the first favorite record that you had, or the first song that really stuck out to you as far back as you can remember.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first song that really got under my skin and just really blew me away, every part of it, and the arrangement, and that's what I really started to appreciate arrangements, because I thought, here's a song that is just amazing from start to finish, but yet it has no chorus. There's no part that repeats itself, lyrically, and it breaks all the rules as in what a song should do. A song shouldn't be 12 minutes long. That's just ridiculous. How are you going to put out a song that's that long?
Yeah.
And it all made sense, and it really showed me that there's a different way to do things. You can break the mold. You don't have to do things exactly the way, verse, chorus. Verse, B section, chorus, verse, B section, chorus, solo, chorus out. You don't have to do that formula. You can stray from the formula and yet not have to pay a price.
Did you have that fourth Zeppelin album on vinyl? When
Yeah,
you were younger?
I had all of the Zeppelin albums on
Yeah,
vinyl. I should say.
yeah. Do you have the originals, or have you like
I still
worn
have my
some out?
originals. No, I
Yeah,
still have my originals. Yeah, and
that's great.
they're still not scratched.
That's really great because
Yeah,
I was,
with
as a
all the
kid, I
moves.
was I was not gentle on my records as a child. I can tell you that.
I took really good care of them. I have like the plastic sleeves that go over the the shrink wrap sleeves.
Yeah, that's great. I was never taught that as a kid, that you have to take care of things and clean your records. I never knew about cleaning my records when I was
Yeah,
younger.
yeah.
So
Vinyl's a different thing. It's a different animal.
yeah, I've a much different approach to it nowadays. Who else kind of inspired you, back in the day, other than Led Zeppelin?
Oh, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Pink Floyd, the Beatles. Really, the Beatles were the first band I ever really got into. They're the ones that changed my life and set me on the direction of music. If it wouldn't have been for them, I don't know if I'd have been doing music, because they were the reasons that I wanted to be in a band, and I wanted to perform and get into the music thing. That was my whole reasoning, was because I wanted to be like the Beatles.
When did you first have?
Still wanted to be like the Beatles.
Don't we all? When did you first have an inkling that you might be able to actually make a living as a musician?
God, when I was really young, when I was probably about 6 years old, when my parents bought me that first Beatles album, the Help album, I put it on. And I just, at that point, I had this vision. I mean, literally, and that sounds crazy and weird and wacko, but whatever, you can think what you want. But I literally had a vision of what my life was going to be like. And I knew I was going to be a rock star. You know what I mean? I hate that word, but I mean, it's appropriate, you know. So, and it all fell into place. And I've never had a job, like a real job. I've never
Hmm.
had to punch a clock and thank God I've been really extremely lucky and blessed. And it's something I don't take for granted.
So you mentioned that you wanted to do some different songs than the ones that were on the live album. There are four songs that appear on both of them. Uh,
Right.
was there, were there any other songs that were sort of in contention that you maybe even went down the road of rehearsing them or something that didn't quite make the record?
No, actually, what we played was on the album. And the reason the songs appeared twice were because those are songs that I felt really needed to go into the set, when we played. And I did, because originally it was going to be a live album, but it's live in the studio, but it was going to be a live album, like a live at a concert. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, we had a lot of technical issues with our recording equipment, and we couldn't get the recording to work right. So we had 3 shows that we did, and none of them came out quality enough to use for the album. So we decided to do it live at the studio, under controlled conditions. We knew that, when you push record, it's going to record, you know.
Yeah.
So, but those songs, we had, yeah, whatever was in the set came on, and it ended up on the album.
Okay, let's talk about the personnel on this. Uh, your guitarist Robbie Lochner and Michael Olivieri, bassist Dan McNay, and drummer Dickie. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Flizar.
Fleazar. Fleazar.
Flizar. Okay. And did you obviously sang? Did you also play other instruments on this?
No, just percussion.
Okay. The track list is basically a who's who, if you will, of Zeppelin songs. You start out with the first single, "Whole Lot of Love," "Good Times, Bad Times," "Misty Mountain Hop," "Dancing Days," "No Quarter," "Kashmir," "Houses of the Holy," "Trampled Underfoot," "Moby Dick," "The Rover," "Stairway to Heaven," "Heartbreaker," "Live and Love and Made," and "Communication Breakdown." And of course, the four that were on the live album from '98 were "No Quarter," "The Rover," "Stairway to Heaven," and "Live and Love and Made." The other one that's not on the CD is "Moby Dick." Was there just a wanted to keep it to one vinyl, or is there a reason where there were songs only on the CD?
Yeah, we just wanted to keep it on one vinyl. That was the reasoning behind it. And that was a record company decision. It really wasn't ours. If
Okay.
it was me, I would have done a double album. But
Hmm.
times being what they are, and I think you have to make some sacrifices, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too because "Stairway's" an easy cut because it's a long track.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm happy that we got a gatefold, though. At least we got that. So
yeah, tell me about the artwork. Who did the crashing shark
that was
artwork?
actually the label that did that. I was really impressed with the artwork. I was surprised because a lot of times you let the label do stuff, and you don't have a hand in it. It just comes out, kind of lackluster. And I thought this came out pretty good. I was kind of impressed.
Yeah.
I just didn't have any ideas for it at this time, and which is really weird. But I've been going through kind of a writer's block, kind of weird thing in the last year. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's COVID or just from being locked up for all these months, where I just don't have any inspiration. I mean, I need to be out doing stuff. I need to
Yeah.
be experiencing things, and the only thing I've experienced is my couch and my remote control. That's about all I've experienced. And I don't
Yeah,
want to
I
write about that.
I hear you. It's mentally it's been a mentally challenging time for everybody during this whole pandemic, and I remember when we got sent home. We're going to be working from home. I thought, oh, this is my opportunity. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna work hard, and I didn't. I just mentally I wasn't there. I couldn't do it. I just I
Right,
watched,
right.
I listened to a lot of music. I watched a lot of TV, and I couldn't really be bothered with anything else. I just mentally didn't have the energy to do anything.
No,
So,
you can't. It's been a real trying time for everybody, you know, and I mean everybody. I don't know anybody that's really done much um, positive stuff during this time. You know, I
mhm.
mean, it really. I mean, they may have started out well and had great intentions, but I think in the long run, everybody just kind of pooped out and went, "The hell with it." You know, give me the
Mhm.
remote.
Watch Tiger King.
Yeah, right, right.
Have you been able to start booking shows and get in front of some audiences?
Yeah, we have actually. We're getting ready to go out this weekend again. We've done a handful of shows. We've done about 15 shows so far, and we're on our way to be working most weekends. So, that's where I want it. So it's getting there. It's they're starting to come in. I think the more people realize the band is actually out and doing shows, the more people are coming to the table.
Hmm.
So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. More bands are playing. I'm just concerned about, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers right now, but there's so many people that are anti-vaxxers, and what's going to happen is when the cold and flu season comes around again this fall, we're going to have another episode of COVID, and it's going to put everybody right back to square one. We're going to be restaurants are going to close, the venues are going to close, because people are going to be getting sick again. And get your vaccines, man. Come on, people. It's a no big deal. It's a no brainer.
Yeah,
It's not going to die. It's not going to kill you. I mean, they're not putting radio tracking devices in you. Just get your vaccines, man.
yeah.
You know,
I
and let's get back to normal here.
I always say if you're afraid of being tracked, that you maybe shouldn't be carrying one of these around. Um,
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the true
um,
tracking device.
exactly. So, yeah, I mean, you're right because I live in Florida and we're seeing a big upsurge with the Delta variant here. It's I'm vaccinated fully, but I'm back to wearing masks indoors whenever I can because
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't want a breakthrough case, and we are never going to reach herd immunity until we get to a high level of vaccinations. And
Right, exactly. And people don't understand that, I mean, and they say, okay, well, you have to wear a mask if you're out in public, if you're not vaccinated. Now, come on, the anti-vaxxers have been wearing masks from the get-go. Why are they going to put masks on now? So it's like,
exactly,
I mean, just get your vaccinations. It's not a big deal. I got mine as soon as I could. Boom.
yes,
I'm not
same.
having,
I
I'm not
was
having
I
any
was
weird reactions or anything.
I was aggravated because once they opened it to my age group, I still couldn't get in. I was online trying to get in and trying to get in. I finally got in. I was glad to get it over
Yeah,
with.
it took me a while too. It took me a while to get on to find a place. I had to drive 4 hours each way, twice,
Wow.
but I did it. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
this is how important it was to me.
Yeah. And yeah, and I especially can appreciate people who make a living through being out in public and being in front of people and performing that they would need to get that done. So I understand the 4 hour drive.
Yep.
Um, Getting back to the record, when you guys made or went into studio to make this, and when you were getting ready to create this Zeppelin II, Great Zeppelin II, did you guys use the same instruments that Zeppelin used? Was there any kind of consideration of that, or did you just try to recreate the sounds using your regular
Just
equipment?
yeah, we just try to recreate the sounds. I mean, because everybody's comfortable playing their own axes and
Hmm.
all their own stuff. And I'm not going to sit there and be a tyrant and say, okay, you got to play everything exactly the same way and use the exact same equipment. Because
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, everybody plays differently. And to
Hmm.
get Page's sound, you may have to use a different guitar. And you may have to use a different amp that he used to get his sound just because you don't play the same way.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell somebody what guitar to play when they're familiar and they're going to play their best on their own guitars.
Hmm.
But we did play man style instruments. We didn't play any weird off brands or you know uh, at least the guys played real instruments like Les Pauls and Strats and Tellys and so it was men's guitars.
Yeah. Oh, well, the reason I asked is because I think that the guitar sounds particularly are very close. I think you guys did a good job of
Yeah,
covering those Page sounds. So
yeah, I thought so as well. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, you know.
how were the guitar parts sort of divvied up between Robbie and Michael? I'm not as familiar with your current lineup.
Well, Michael's not in the band. Michael just came in for the Zeppelin shows
Oh, okay.
because there was a lot of keyboards on this record, and Tony wasn't as proficient on the keyboards as Michael was for a live
Mhm.
show. So we used Michael to do the live gigs. You know what I mean? And we thought, well, he already knows the songs. Let's just keep him for the studio album.
Yeah.
So we did that. Uh, Try and think. So what was the question again? I lost it.
Just how the guitar parts were split between them.
Oh yeah. Well, they were just how we did the songs. I mean, whoever Robbie played most of the solos. I think the rhythm guitar was left to Michael. And there, of
Mhm.
course, we know there's not a lot of rhythm guitar on Zeppelin songs. I mean, there is, but Page didn't do too many overdubs. There was a
Yeah.
lot of songs left just power trio and a vocal.
So how much of the Great Zeppelin II record will be in the live shows?
We have two songs right now we're putting in, and we want to make it that heavy, all the Zeppelin stuff, because I mean it is a tribute album, and it's just something we did for fun, and
Mhm.
we're not out there trying to sell a million copies. We'll sell what we sell, and it's just for our fans. We're not trying. I said we're not trying to go up the charts with it or anything. It's just something we did, and if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so be it. It's as I said, it's like all of our stuff is for the fans. And this is more for the
Mhm.
hardcore fans that are fans of Zeppelin.
As a vocalist, what did you find the most challenging song to do?
Oh God, probably like House of the Holy. Um, there's some really strenuous parts in there. Um, and my voice is not as high as it was, 5 years ago. I've lost a couple notes in my range. I'm sad to say, but happens to everybody. I'm 60 now, so I can't expect to sound like I'm 25.
You can't.
But
No, you can't be 60. You can't.
yeah, no, I am 60. Yeah,
No, you can't be 60 because that means I'm getting old too.
yeah, I know. That's why I keep telling people that. I go, you can't be 50. No. So yeah, so it's like we're all getting there, and but for the most part, it works. So I don't have too many problems with it. So it gets by.
Is there one that you enjoy singing more than the others?
Um, God, on this record, what was the one I really liked? Trampled Underfoot. I really had a great time doing that because I've always wanted to do that song, and it
Yeah.
came out later in their catalog, and it wasn't like we were playing shows at that time where I wasn't doing any backyard parties or anything in my cover bands. So, I didn't really have the opportunity to play that song. So this gave me the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. That's just a fun, crunchy song. I
It's
really like it.
long.
Yeah.
It's long. There's a lot of freaking words.
Yeah, there's
It,
a lot of
it
lyrics in
took
there.
me so long. I'm like, okay, what comes up next? What part comes up next? Because I had to learn them all to do it live. It wasn't like I could sit there with cheat sheets. I
Yeah.
had to memorize it all. And man, it took a while to memorize that stuff. I don't know whether I'm getting old or whether it's just a long song.
I think it's a long song.
Both.
You can't take a teleprompter on the stage with you.
No, you can't. No, at least well, I can. Axel can. I can.
um, Obviously, you're no pun intended here. You're not one to shy away from doing a cover. You're a huge hit with Once Bitten, Twice Shy from Ian
Yeah.
Hunter. Your Zepp fandom is well established after two cover albums. Are there any other bands you would consider doing, covering, in your
Sure.
career?
I would love to do an Aerosmith thing one day. I'd love to do a Beatles thing. I'd love to do a Beach Boys thing. It's whether I'll ever get the time to do that, who knows? I mean, there's so many records I have to make. We're still got to get the new studio album out, and that's
Hmm.
we're putting another album out, which has like half of Dante Fox stuff and half of other covers the record company wants me to do it. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do it for them, you know.
Yeah.
For a nominal fee, I'll do this for you. And you know, it's something I thought would be fun to do. It has some really cool covers on it, but you know, more about that later. But you know, it's and that then I got to do the new studio album, which is something I've been putting off, and you know, we've got it about halfway done, written, and you know, it's still just. I'm not rushing it because I want it to be a really good album. I don't want to be like, okay, well, I got to get this out real quick. I mean, come on, the last one was out in 2017. I was hoping to have an album out in 2018. You know, it just didn't happen that way. You know, I don't want to. The album I thought that came out in 2017, You Saw It Coming, was such a good record. And I didn't want to put something out that was not of the same quality, you know, song wise. So it's really been difficult. I thought, you know, I thought it was going to be a hard act to follow when I did it, but I didn't realize how much so it was going to be, you know. Um, and this last year having this whole writer's block thing has just stumped me. I was like, okay, now what do I do? I can't think of anything, you know.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because it has been since 2017 when He Saw It Coming came out. It was a very had a lot of variety on that album, a lot of variety of
Yeah, it's
styles
very
and things.
eclectic. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Are
eclectic.
you
Yeah.
sort of in the same headspace for the new album then?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be some heavier stuff on it, but for the most part, you know, it's just going to be a rock and roll record, you know. But it's definitely going to be eclectic as well. That's just the way I write. You know, I don't like to write the same song over and over and over again. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, with different lyrics. I mean, it's you kind of got to take whatever comes and you know make it work if it's a workable song. You know.
Hmm.
And there's some really good ideas we have. There's a great blues song I wrote, and it's probably one of the better songs I've written in my career, and I'm really excited about that one. And there's a couple other ones. There's like an ACDC type song, and that's really cool. You know, so I'm excited to have that to go in and work on that. You know, but I got to get these other obligations finished first, and which won't take a long time, but I just got to get them done in the order I need to get them done in. So
Yeah. Are you hearing any newer artists that sort of are creeping into your writing stylistically?
nope,
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything I've liked in years. I
Hmm.
mean, I think new music's just dog shit, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't think it's and that sounds horrible. And I don't mean every single band. I don't mean all the
Hmm.
bands that are up and trying to come up. And I just think what's currently being played, you know, and shown on, you know, American Music Awards or the Grammys and things like that. I think it's just all shit. You know, I don't
Hmm.
personally like it. I think our best music was written in the 70s and the 80s, you know,
Hmm.
and the 60s. You know, you want to go back to that. But I mean, the 70s, the 80s, that was a time where, you know, music was at its peak, I think. I think it reached its pinnacle in the 80s, and you know, that was about it. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, the 90s was kind of dark and morose, and at least for me, there was some good bands. There was a handful,
Hmm.
you know, albeit, you know, there was some great songs, but not to the extent of the 80s. I mean, and I'm obviously I'm an 80s fan,
Hmm.
not just because that's where I live, but you know, it's just it was a great generation musically, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is being part of that scene that that was popular in that time. How do you view grunge looking back? How do you view that whole thing?
Yeah, I think it was needed, you know, to kind of like break up a log jam, you know, of music because music was kind of stuck.
Hmm.
You know, it was the same songs being written over and over and over again, and all the bands were trying to sound like their bands that they liked, and you know, like 19 Motley Crues and 20 Guns N' Roses and 10 Great Whites and you know 15 Cinderellas, and I mean, you know, it went on from there, and so it all got to be sounding pretty, you know, homogenized, and it needed to be changed. You know, I wish something would have came in besides grunge to take it over, but you know, it needed a change. I mean, it really did. It needed to be kind of just the rivers need to be unclogged.
Yeah, it seemed like everything that was getting released was coming straight off the Sunset Strip at that time.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, you had a lot of bands moving to California just to be a LA band, you know.
Yeah. And then it became a everybody in Seattle was getting signed after that. So
You know, that was it. Yeah, if you're in Seattle, you're cool and you got signed. You know, if you weren't from there, you moved to Seattle.
yeah, the record companies have always been like that. The something hits and everybody wants to, jump on that success and ride that wave. And
It's exactly right, my friend. That's
yeah.
exactly what happens, and that's the downfall of music, and will always be. You know,
Hmm.
it wasn't like that in the '60s. You had you know, you put a concert on there, it was like Santana, Led Zeppelin, The Who. You know, you had Janis Joplin. You know, you had all these different bands that sound nothing like the other, Moby Grape, and you know, all these bands that you know had nothing to do with one another. And
Hmm.
went to a concert, and you experienced all different styles of music, and it was great. People got into them all. You know,
Hmm.
and nowadays, you know, you have a certain audience for each style of music. You have a certain dress. You know, you got to wear these clothes and look like this. And you know, if you're into this kind of music, you got to wear these clothes and dress like this and talk like this. And you know, it's a whole counterculture. You know.
Yeah. Even within metal, it's like that. Even different
Oh
kinds
yeah.
of metal have different
Oh yeah.
affectations.
You have your heavy metal. You know, what I mean, you like War and bands like that. You know, and you wear animal skins and whatever. You know, I don't
Your
know what
death
you wear.
metal and your black metal and your thrash metal, they all have different costumes. But
Yeah.
yeah, so even the early to mid 80s were like that. When MTV started, they had no choice, but they had to fill 24 hours. They would just, if you sent them a video, they would put it on at first. That's what was great. You didn't know what the next thing was coming. You would see, something like Duran Duran, and then you would see a punk song, and then you would see you know maybe a Judas Priest video after that. And I think it's reflected if you look at the festivals. If you look at the um, Live Aid, what a varied lineup that was. And then you had the US Festival with different, themes on different days.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. And then that was great. Rock was great. Rock was you know, coming up to its pinnacle at that point, you know. And
Yeah.
it was like it should be, you know, all different styles of music with all different types of people. You
Hmm.
know, it's more fun that way, you know.
Yeah.
Diversity is a good thing.
Well, I know you probably hate this question. I have to ask it. We're not going to use the R word, but has there been any thawing at all between you and your former great white bandmates at all over the years?
No, no, and that's not on this end. That's on their end. They don't want anything to do with me, and you know that's I guess it's fine. You know, it's sad. It really is. I mean, I miss my friend Mark Kendall most. I mean, I really do. I miss him a lot. I think about him quite often, and you know, because we spent a great portion of our lives together, and you know, we accomplished something that only a few people accomplish.
Hmm.
And there are memories that I only have with him. You know, I can only say, "Hey, you remember that time we did this?" You know, I can't go to my guitar player and go, "Hey, you remember that time that me and Mark did this?" You know,
Yeah.
it's and you know, I don't have anybody to share those with, and it's sad. I can't pick up a phone and sit there and just reminisce about the old times. You know, we don't need to play together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's fine. You know, but I just wish I had him for a friend. You know, but
Yeah.
oh well, so be it. It is what it is, and you know, he's gonna do what he's gonna do, and people want to hold grudges. I can't do anything about it. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that, but
Yeah. Sorry to say it.
uh, so when somebody brings great Zeppelin II home and they pop it in their CD player on their turntable, they listen to it. You obviously did this for fun. How do you want them to feel when they're done giving this album a listen?
I want them to say, "Yeah, I had a lot of fun listening to that." You know,
Yeah.
that's what I want. I want them to enjoy the songs as they were meant to be enjoyed, and go, "God, man, that guy sings pretty good." You know, I mean, he sounds kind of like Robert Plant. You know, that's the hope anyway.
Yeah. Not bad for a 60-year-old, I think.
Not bad. Yeah.
Jack, when you're talking about the next Jack Russell's Great White album, obviously you said you're halfway through. Do you have a projected maybe target date that you might start recording?
You know, honestly, I can't even be. I can't answer that honestly, so I'm not gonna. um, sooner than I hope. Put it that way.
Yeah. Um, when you look back over your catalog, do you have a favorite album or a favorite song?
Yeah, I would have to say the favorite album is "Can't Get There From Here" or "He Saw It Coming." Those are my two favorites so far.
Hmm.
Um, Favorite song would probably be "Rock Me." I think that song encompasses everything the Great White was about.
Hmm.
It has the blues, it has the rock, it has the vocals, it has the harmonies. Everything that Great White was about, dynamics and bluesiness and good hooks. And I think it really shows what the band was all about in one song. If I had to pick a song to represent Great White in the Olympics, that would be it.
Yeah, and it's unlike a lot of the songs that were popular at the time. It doesn't sound dated. It still sounds like a fresh song.
No, you're right. It stood the test of time, and
Mm.
I'm happy to say that it does meet the criteria to be a song that could come out, this week. You know,
Yeah.
if songs that good were coming out this week.
Are you tired of Once Bitten Twice Shy? Are you tired of that song?
I was tired of that song the first time I sang it.
Do you still play it?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I'd get stoned if I didn't.
I always wonder that. I know that there are artists who turn the page and say that's behind us now. There are other artists that feel chained to their hits, and I always wonder how hard it is to walk that line between doing something that's exciting to you and doing something that is exciting for the fans that are coming to their first show and seeing you for the first time, and they haven't had all these opportunities to hear the song over and over again. Because my favorite band was Rush, and I know a lot of people who would leave when Tom Sawyer came on, and I'm like, every time I heard it, it was great. It was like the first time, but there are people who were
Right.
tired of it, and I
Sure,
just that,
sure. Well, for me, every night's a different night and a different audience. So, I mean, I still have fun playing the song. Like I play it like first time I sang it,
Mhm.
every night. I may not rehearse it, but when it's time to do the show, I take it like it's the first time I sang it, and I have a blast doing it. I don't. I'm not out there going, God, I hate this song. Let's just get it over with. Let's cut some parts out of it.
Yeah.
That's not the way I work. So, I don't operate like that.
Have you ever talked to Ian Hunter about the song?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, he had said he was out one time on the road and kids are coming up to him and saying, "How come you're playing that Great White song?"
Yeah, it was the Great White version was much more popular, at least in this country, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah, and he made a lot of money off us, so he's happy.
Well, I'm glad you could make him happy. That's great. um, I will ask you this. I know you said you don't listen to a lot of the newer stuff. What's the last album you listened to?
Oh God, the last album I listened to. This is it was "Dirt" by Alice in Chains.
Okay, talking about grunge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
Talk
great.
about grunge. I'm all listening to it.
Well,
There
yeah,
were
I
a
mean,
few.
there.
There were a few bands that I liked out of that era. I'm not saying everything that came out of the grunge scene was bad or I didn't
Yeah,
like it. I can never unvalidate somebody's music. What I mean, I can't say, well, your music wasn't valid. I mean, it's
yeah,
all valid. Whether it floats my boat or not, it's a different story. But
yeah,
I thought the Alice in Chains was a great band. They were one of the few bands I liked that whole genre.
yeah. When you are writing an album, do you avoid listening to music?
No, actually, I don't. I listen to it as much as I, ever listen to it, which I go through phases. I'll listen to music for 6 months every single day, and then I'll just drop it. I won't listen to anything for 6 months.
Hmm.
It's really weird. I don't understand why I am the way I am. I used to listen to music every single day, but I don't know. I'm not that guy anymore, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably isn't a good thing considering what I do, but you know, um, it's worked for me so far. So I'm not gonna, at this point, I'm not gonna change the way I do things. You know, I'm stuck in my rut, and that's it. You know,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
that's it. And I don't know if it's broke or not, so we're just gonna leave it at that.
Fair enough. Great Zeppelin II, a tribute to Led Zeppelin, comes out August 13th on CD and vinyl and digital. Jack Russell, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate your time, and
My pleasure. Anytime.
I wish you the best of luck with the album.
Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate you having me on your show, and great luck with your continued success. You know.